In this video, I'm going to go over 10 useful WordPress tips to get the most out of your site. At the top of the list, we're going to make sure that we're picking the right themes. A bad theme can have a large impact on the performance of your site. Um, it can also have an impact on security, as well as the layout and SEO. However, in terms of being at top of the list, this is more geared towards, like a bloated theme. We want to make sure that you're not using a theme that's bloated, full of all kinds of junk, bad coding, et cetera, et cetera. Uh, we recommend that you use a theme that is being actively maintained by a team of developers. Companies like Elegant Themes and similar, they have a team of developers that are maintaining their themes, and that's what we recommend. Number two, use the right plugins. Um, Not only do you want to use the right plugins, but you also want to use as little plugins as possible. For every plugin that you install, there's another attack vector on your website. Some of the plugins they're not maintained. They're built with poor coding practices, and it's just something that we always recommend using as little plugins as possible. Number three is going to be security. Make sure that you're taking security seriously. Um, we see a lot of WordPress sites that are just not maintained, not making backups, just installing all kinds of plugins and not updating them, and also using plugins that developers have simply abandoned. Um, Plugins are going to be typically they're going to be the first entry point into your website in terms of it being hacked, websites just not being maintained. Um, so definitely take security serious. We recommend something along the lines of WordFence, and we only recommend WordFence in terms of monitoring. We don't recommend WordFence in terms of blocking failed logins and stuff like that, because a lot of security plugins they they tend to block IP addresses and such in a very inefficient manner. The first one is creating tons of database entries. So storing, failed logins in a database table. That is a recipe for crashed database tables. And typically what's going to happen is you try to export a database or make a backup of the database, and it won't export properly because the tables are crashed. The other method is adding blocked IPs and whatnot into an htaccess file. So we have a plugin that adds thousands and thousands of IP addresses into an htaccess file. And the issue that causes is the htaccess file has to be loaded before your WordPress site or any website actually renders. So if your htaccess file has thousands of IP addresses in them, then that all has to be processed first. Uh, that's a whole separate video or topic that we could go over. Um, it's a little more in depth for this article here. Number four is going to be SEO. Just real quick, we recommend SEO Press. Some of the older plugins like Yoast and AIO or all-in-one SEO, they're just kind of bloated. Um, we recommend SEO Press as of this video. Number five is going to be permalinks. Use the post name or page name so that you can take advantage of keywords and SEO friendly type URLs on your website. It's easier to use. It's easier to tell people, hey, my website is blah blah blah.com slash this page, instead of, hey, my website is blah blah blah.com slash question mark p equals 123 $ 25. Yeah, who wants to try to remember that? I don't. Number 6 is going to be optimize your images. Unoptimized images have a very large impact on the performance of a website. And in terms of SEO, there's a number of things that play into SEO in terms of performance. A bloated theme, bad plugins, and image optimization. We don't want if your website has let's say a 400 by 400 pixel image, we don't want the website or the browser trying to resize a, 1500 by 1500 pixel image. It's an inefficient use of resources, and it should be avoided at all costs. Uh, in addition to that, we recommend compressing the images too, which you could use a service such as TinyPNG. There's some other plugins that can do that. Imagify, some similar to that. Number 7 is going to be lazy loading. Lazy loading is where elements load in the background, and only what you see on the page is loaded at that time, just enough to load the what's called the first paint of your website. Uh, we definitely recommend that, and in conjunction with number 8 is going to be caching. Caching can boost your website performance multiple times. So if you have repetitive content on your site that doesn't need to be loaded from a database or anywhere else every page load, we recommend caching it. That way it's loading from a cache and it's not, hitting the server multiple times. And what that's going to allow you to do is scale your website and keep it online faster when there's a lot of visitors. Number 9 is going to be CSS and JavaScript minification. So this is basically when you have, let's say you have a file that has a whole bunch of code in it. And for it to be readable for a human, humans tend to add comments and they add white space and empty lines and just to make it more organized. A computer, servers, browsers, they don't need any of that. So minifying can actually reduce the file size by removing all of the white space, empty lines, and etc. And the final tip for number 10 is going to be database optimization. For the most part, you want to focus on eliminating overheads such as post-provisioned, orphaned, post-meta, transient options, and other similar entities from the database. Most developers are going to stay away from manually optimizing the database, so you want to use a plugin such as WP Optimize or WP Sweep. We hope that this video was helpful. Uh, if it was, please leave a comment below if you have any input or recommendations on another video that we can go into more depth. And definitely like and share. Thanks for watching.